Well, next month marks the anniversary of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, and even 50 years later, that's right, many still believe that Lee Harvey Oswald did not act alone. Is the government covering up the real story? Joining me now is former Minnesota governor and the author of They Killed Our President, 63 Reasons to Believe There Was a Conspiracy to Assassinate JFK, Jesse Ventura. First of all, the book's really interesting, and you use the internet, even though it's a book, because in there are all kinds of references to the exact addresses on YouTube and other places and hearings and so forth. You can go back and you can see.
And hear yourself.
Yes, from the book. And I did it. I stopped and I went back and I did my little research. So it's kind of an internet bibliography, if you will. But the question always remains about who did this and the cover-up and everything else. Were the people afterward, were the Katzenberg memo and everything else, were they ill-willed? Did they know that there was somebody they were trying to cover for, or were they just trying to say it was a different time, let's just make sure that we can move on without, because they were worried about the communist and Soviet Union and all that sort of
No,
stuff.
they were worried about the truth. That's what they were worried about.
Why?
Why? Because a coup d'etat took place that day. That's a changing of our government. And it wasn't done at the ballot box, it was done with a bullet. And so there should have been a thorough investigation done. I'll give you an example. The car is the crime scene. Kennedy was killed in the car. Now, anybody that watches TV, any dummy knows, in comes the yellow tape. You can't cross into here till forensics done, right? Well, in the book, we tell of a guy at the Ford Motor Plant in Michigan was stunned when he came in Monday morning and there was the president's limousine being refurbished Monday morning, ordered by President Lyndon Johnson. That's obstruction of justice. No one got to look at the car, the crime scene.
And you said the windshield had been replaced because...
Well, I saw a photograph of his car parked at Parkland Hospital when they brought the president's, by then, pretty much dead body there. And in the photograph, you can see a bullet hole through the front windshield. And that had to be replaced quickly, because then you've got more than 3 bullets, which they allowed. And also when you apply common sense, Tom, if you're a sniper, your first shot's going to be your best one. In this case, it was the worst one. And the third shot was the best one. I couldn't do the shooting, and I'm an expert marksman. Yeah. I used the actual weapon, same bullets and everything from the same, and I didn't even have a moving target. I couldn't do it, but even go beyond me. We point out in the book a gentleman named Carlos Hathcock, the greatest Marine sniper in history. He was the head instructor at Quantico. They recreated it for him. 10 times he tried and couldn't do it. Now, in the military, they give you batteries of tests to try to use your abilities to the best. Oswald wasn't 0300 infantry. They sent him to radar school. He never even carried a gun in the Marine Corps. Carlos Hathcock made a living with a rifle. He can't do it, but Oswald can. Come on, common sense.
You get into a lot of things, and there's the photographs and the autopsies, and there's a bullet hole in the president's back, an entry wound, and it's very low. And I look at that and I think, well, he was against the seat. How did that? I mean, there are still a million questions about what
unanswered.
Happened. Yeah,
but we answer a lot of them in here. It's just that the official version won't answer.
Well, it's interesting because your book is only about this thick when you get into the beginning of it, and then you go, okay, here are the 63 reasons why Oswald did not do it.
I would love to be the attorney for the trial. And like I said, correct that convicted, because he was never convicted of anything. There was never, in a coup d'etat.
Didn't they have like a mock trial later?
Maybe, I don't, but that's not a trial. No one's sworn in. Yeah. Nobody, in a coup d'etat, there could never be a trial. And here's another big one people need to know. Warren Commission said it wasn't true. Jack Ruby and Lee Oswald knew each other well. Jack Ruby said he knew Lee Oswald since Lee was a child. Doesn't that change the whole thing? Oswald was killed by somebody he knows.
Yeah. Well, you're very good at this stuff. And,
I'm not very good. Those are the facts. It isn't me.
You dig up all these great things, and it's a great whodunit story. But you've got some really compelling evidence that I don't care what you think, this book will make you stop and really rethink some of this stuff.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks. So. Well, you know, we needed this book because we lost one of the greatest fiction writers in the world, Tom Clancy.
Yeah.
But the point is, this one's not fiction. That's why Take authors like Clancy and Vince Flynn, great authors, but they're fiction. That's what entices me to Kennedy. It's like Harry Potter books. More come out all the time with more evidence. It's like a continuing saga. And that's why I stay on top of it.
Governor, always good to see you.
Tom, always a pleasure.
Fun book to read.
Thank you. I'm glad you felt that way.
You bet.